It was a quiet Sunday afternoon when the CEO finally did something she hadn't done in months. She canceled her meetings, turned off her phone, and took her son to the park. Her name was Victoria Hale, one of the most powerful women in the city. People feared her decisions, investors waited for her words. But at home, things were different. Her 7-year-old son, Ethan, hadn't spoken a single word in over 2 years. Not since the accident. Doctors called it trauma-induced selective silence. He could speak. He just didn't. Victoria had tried everything. Therapists, specialists, private tutors. Nothing worked. So that Sunday, she decided to try something simple. Just a park. Ethan sat beside her on a wooden bench. His small hands folded in his lap. His eyes watched the other children running, laughing, shouting. But he didn't move. Victoria forced a smile. "You can go play," she said gently. Ethan didn't respond. A group of boys were kicking a soccer ball nearby. Their laughter echoed across the field. Suddenly, one strong kick sent the ball rolling far off course. It rolled across the grass, across the walkway, and stopped right at Ethan's feet. One of the boys ran over. He couldn't have been older than 9. Freckles, messy hair, simple clothes. "Hey," the boy said casually. "Can you pass it back?" Ethan froze. Victoria's heart tightened. She opened her mouth to apologize, to explain. But before she could speak, the boy shrugged and sat down right next to Ethan. "It's okay," he said. "You don't have to talk." Victoria blinked. The boy picked up the ball and placed it gently in Ethan's hands. "My brother doesn't talk much either," he continued. "But he's really good at soccer." Ethan looked down at the ball. His fingers slowly gripped it. The other kids shouted from the field, "Lucas, hurry up." Lucas ignored them. He stood up and took a few steps back. "Kick it to me," he said with a smile. Victoria felt her chest tighten. Ethan hadn't played with other kids since the accident. He hadn't even tried. Lucas waited patiently. No pressure, no judgment, just waiting. Ethan looked at his mother. Victoria forced herself not to say anything. Slowly, Ethan pushed the ball forward with his foot. It rolled gently toward Lucas. Lucas grinned like it was the greatest kick he had ever seen. "Nice one," he shouted. He kicked it back, a little stronger this time. Ethan stopped it awkwardly. Lucas clapped. "See, you're good." Something changed in Ethan's eyes. For the next few minutes, they passed the ball back and forth. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud, just a simple exchange. But then it happened. Lucas kicked the ball slightly too hard. It rolled past Ethan. Ethan stood up quickly and ran after it. And without thinking, he shouted, "Wait!" The word echoed across the grass. Victoria froze. The world seemed to stop. Ethan stood there, breathing fast, eyes wide, like he didn't understand what had just happened. Lucas turned around slowly. "You talk," he said excitedly. Ethan covered his mouth. Victoria's hands were shaking. Tears filled her eyes as she stood up from the bench. She hadn't heard her son's voice in 2 years. 2 years of silence, broken by one simple moment. One ball. Lucas walked back calmly, like it was no big deal. "Wanna play for real?" he asked. Ethan hesitated, then nodded. Victoria watched as the boys ran back toward the field. Other kids joined. No one stared. No one asked questions. They just played. And Ethan laughed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. Victoria sat back down on the bench, tears streaming down her face. All the money in the world couldn't buy what just happened. She had spent millions searching for solutions. But it took a random boy with a soccer ball to reach her son. When the game ended, Lucas walked over. "Is he your brother?" he asked politely. Victoria smiled through tears. "He's my son." Lucas nodded proudly. "He's good." She knelt down to Lucas's level. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "For what?" "For not asking him to be different." Lucas shrugged. "He's not different. He just needed someone to pass the ball to." Those words stayed with her. The next week, Victoria made a decision. She funded a new community sports program, free access for children dealing with trauma, anxiety, and social withdrawal. No pressure, no labels, just play. Within months, hundreds of children joined. Ethan kept going back to the park. Not for therapy, not for treatment, but to play. And slowly, word by word, his silence faded. Years later, at the opening ceremony of a massive youth sports center, Victoria stood on stage. Beside her stood a confident teenage boy, Ethan. He stepped forward and spoke into the microphone. "Sometimes, you don't need someone to fix you," he said. "You just need someone to pass you the ball." The crowd fell silent, then erupted into applause. Victoria looked into the crowd and spotted Lucas. Still smiling, still simple, still unaware that he had changed everything. Because sometimes, it doesn't take power, it doesn't take money, it doesn't take titles, it just takes one small moment. One simple act, one ball, and a child willing to share it.